Hello and welcome to the TV enthusiast discussion of Hannibal Season 3. This is our segment called Art Appreciation with Francis Dolarhyde. Today we're going to be talking about episode. I should have had this prepared. We're going to be talking about episode 11 and the Beast from the Sea. Today I'll be your host. My name is Tyson. Joining me today is our news director at TV Enthusiast, Will Rorig.
Hello.
Uh, yeah, so this is our TV Enthusiast discussion. So let's get started. Last week, we got to see Dolarhyde eating the painting. We were kind of thinking that they were going to go into the details of that. I didn't. Did you notice them doing that? I didn't see that this week. That was one thing I was kind of looking out for that didn't click in my head.
No, no, they just discussed it a little, but they didn't go into the details.
Yeah. That's something I guess we probably still have coming.
Yeah, there's like a brief reaction, like he ate a painting.
Yeah, that was pretty funny. Just the Jax Crawford's reaction.
Yeah, I know. Right? That was funny at the beginning of the episode.
So this episode kind of revolved around one kind of key significant event. Usually when we're discussing an episode, we'll kind of like hold off on the big event. But since kind of everything was tied around this, I think we should just kind of start right on it. So last week we had Hannibal obtaining Will's address. Was it last week or the week before?
I believe it was the week before.
Okay, but he got Will's address, and now we find out what he did with it.
Yeah.
He talked to Dolarhyde. He gave him Will's address.
Which was another great scene at the beginning of the episode, where they put Dolarhyde and Hannibal in the same room again, and they went more into the conversation. Like if you watch the movie or anything, you didn't get this conversation about it. You just got that Hannibal gave him the address and that was it. But here we see Hannibal and Dolarhyde discussing it. And Dolarhyde goes more into his motivations with Reba and stuff, like he was in a therapy session with Hannibal. And that is like really cool. That is one of the cool aspects about having this done in the long form in television, is that you can do this kind of stuff. You can expand on the material because you're not so pressed for time. And I think this is definitely one of the benefits of that. It's so cool.
It's interesting that they had a moment where Will guessed that there was a possibility that the Red Dragon could have been one of Hannibal's patients.
Yeah.
Earlier in the movie, which, you know, I mean, who knows? They could actually play into that. I mean, I don't think they will. It doesn't really seem to be that. But if they did, then that would be kind of like Fuller taking another wink at Silence of the Lambs, which he doesn't have the rights to.
Right, exactly. There was also another wink to the film Red Dragon when Will confronts Hannibal later in the episode. Will asks Hannibal how he's communicating with Dolarhyde, and then Hannibal says something like, "What do you think it is, Will? You think it's cute notes scribbled on toilet paper or something?" Which is a direct reference to the film, which they didn't do in the show. But I thought that was funny.
Yeah, Fuller takes great care of like putting in these little references, not only to like the events of the books and stuff, but actual like scenes that differ from that in the movies and stuff, and kind of paying homage to those. Sometimes in ways that, you know, don't directly connect in the same way. Like, you know, we talked before about the, you know, Will getting his head cut open, you know, being similar to homage to the Ray Liotta scene in Hannibal.
Right. Yeah, exactly. The movie Hannibal. Yeah, exactly. And so it really shows like the love and care, the affection Brian Fuller has for this franchise, for this material. It's not just some commercial cash grab.
Yeah.
Brian Fuller truly does care about the material he's working with.
Yeah. It's one of the reasons I love the works of Brian Fuller. With so much soul into it. So, yeah. So the result of this scene was Hannibal talking to Dolarhyde, and he tells Dolarhyde, "Kill them all."
Yes.
And
save yourself. Kill them all.
and Dolarhyde attempts to do just that, which is kind of reminiscent of the final kind of scene, or not scene, the final scene, the final kind of climactic aspect or part, I guess, or act of the Red Dragon movie.
Yes.
Which,
this was actually a big departure from the film, because in the film, Dolarhyde doesn't attack Will's family until the very end of the film, after Will thought that Dolarhyde was gone forever. We find out Dolarhyde's still around and he's attacking Will's family. And Will is actually there when that attack happens.
Yeah.
So Brian Fuller changed it up. So he put the attack in the middle of the story, with Will not actually being there, which is interesting.
It's cool about that is it kind of gives this moment of kind of a moment of reckoning for Will, having to deal with not only his wife but his stepson, right, knowing that this is something he dragged them into. And it's not like, usually when a scene like that happens in a movie and it's towards the end and everything, you don't really get a fallout from that, because that's the end of the movie. It's like, oh, thank God we're all okay.
Yeah, thank God. It was a thank God we're all okay ending.
But in here, we actually kind of get like a few moments of where we see this isn't a good thing. Like, Will's put them in a dangerous position.
One of the things, this was such a tense moment in the series, and one of the things that made it work was because this was out of sequence. This was off script. So Brian Fuller was going off script, and that really made you think he's capable of anything.
It throws away your expectations.
You're like, oh crap, you no longer know what's going to happen. Yeah. That's what really made that scene work, and it was so tense for the whole of it, because I was so sure Brian Fuller was going to off Will's family in that scene. I thought, oh snap, he's going to do it. He didn't do it. He didn't go that far. Also, what differed from the book from the film is, in the film, Hannibal does give Dolarhyde Will's address, but Will and the FBI find out about it before Dolarhyde can take action, and he actually manages to put his family in hiding in a separate location. Mm-hmm. This happens, so they find out about that, and again, that's a departure, because Will doesn't find out what Hannibal did until after Dolarhyde attempts to kill his family.
Yeah. I think what's interesting here is that it's really kind of playing with, what we're thinking about what's going to be happening throughout the rest of the season, how the season's going to end. And I'm feeling more and more like they are going in the direction that I was thinking was a possibility of Hannibal escaping again at the end of this season.
Right.
I'm just feeling it more and more. Every time they're talking to him, I can feel like that. It's like foreshadowing happening before me, Like
the wheels are spinning.
Yeah. So I really feel like it's go in that direction. I wonder if we're going to have another kind of a bloodbath kind of thing, because, we said Brian Fuller didn't kill his family, but, the season's not over.
There's 2 more episodes.
Yeah.
stuff to happen, for stuff to go down.
Yeah. And it's going to be kind of cool to see where they end off with that. I mean, it's apparently going to be an ending similar to what season 2 had, and that it's going to kind of feel like a crazy cliffhanger, but at the same time, it's going to feel like, but if this ends here, then we can just make assumptions.
Right, yeah, exactly. We can just make assumptions. That's what it's going to be like. I really like how nonchalant Hannibal is, too. When Will confronts Hannibal after his family was attacked, Will, ask Hannibal, what'd you do? And Hannibal just comes out and says, I said, kill them all. I said, save yourself, kill them all. And then I gave him your address. He just like that.
I loved when he talked to Alana, when Alana first confronted him, when they were going to talk about doing the wiretap or whatever.
Yeah.
And she said, you've been in contact with them the whole time, haven't you? Or something. And he's like, yes. Yes. Like, I didn't ask the right question. And it's like, no, you didn't.
Like,
this idea that, if they had been smart enough to realize that that was the case and had directly confronted him and said, Hannibal, were you in touch with them? That he probably would have said, yeah.
Yeah, he would have said, yeah.
He's not lying. He's just not telling.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, and then it makes it worse because Hannibal says, I told him, save yourself, kill them all. And then I gave him your address. And then Hannibal says, how's the wife?
Yeah, so it's Hannibal.
Yeah.
What a lovely family man he is.
Yes, so lovely. He's so considerate.
So we also got to see a cool scene with Alana afterwards, where after Hannibal was being tapped, well, I should get to that first. Hannibal was being tapped when Dolarhyde called and being told to keep him busy so they could trace the call.
Yep.
So he started keeping him busy, kind of, amusing himself talking to Dolarhyde.
And then at the end of it, he says, they're listening. And he hangs up. He tips them off.
Yeah.
Right in front of
the FBI.
Yeah, he betrays the FBI right in front of them while they're listening to him. So they know. But Hannibal doesn't care. He's in total gives no F's mode. So
badger. Hannibal's a honey badger.
Yeah, he's a honey badger.
So that led to one of the later scenes in the episode, which is one of the best scenes of the episode, where Alana kind of follows through with her promise.
Yes. Well, the scene with Alana following through with her promise, that's the exact same scene in the film, just except you're substituting Alana out for Chilton. Because Alana says, we're going to take even the toilet. I take that way. That's directly lifted from the movie when Chilton takes away Hannibal's toilet privileges.
We also got to see a little bit of a iconic Lecter face.
Yes. I thought it was interesting that they're substituting Alana for Chilton in this season. When we saw Chilton at the beginning of the arc, we also saw Chilton proper at the beginning of the first arc in the season 2. He only appeared in one episode of each of those arcs so far. He only appeared in one episode at the beginning of the season, and then the episode at the beginning of this arc, and he hasn't shown up. And so it's funny that he's there, but we're going to substitute him with Alana, have Alana take his place in the story. I wonder what's up with that, because that seems kind of bizarre to just have him pop up and then disappear, and then have his role in the story completely taken over by another character.
Yeah, he hasn't been completely fucked up this season yet, so he hasn't fucked up his role.
I know, right?
So we still have to see that. We still have to have that moment.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And Freddie Lounds, too.
Yeah.
She's supposed to play a bigger part in the story, and yet she showed up for that one episode. After the previous episode, they reminded us she was alive, and then she shows up, then she disappears again. And it's like, but she plays a major part in this story, too. It's like, what are you doing, Fuller? I don't know. There's still 2 more episodes, so I don't know. But it's just little things driving me a little crazy here.
So I was just looking at the episode titles for the next final 2 episodes. The last one, of course, we already mentioned last week, is being called, or in the next episode, being called "The Number of the Beast is 666."
Right.
Which I think is where we're going to start to see Hannibal's kind of plan come more into play.
I think so, yeah.
And that's probably also when we're going to end up seeing something happen with Freddie Lounds or Chilton or something related to that, because there has to be something akin to that, you know?
There has to be something akin to that. It's like they brought these characters around, reminded us of them, and then took them out of rotation. And it's like, that has to be deliberate. It's not done just because those actors needed a paycheck.
Yeah.
I think
we're going to get a little bit of that next week,
I think there has to be something to that.
And then the last episode of the season, and, well, basically the series, unless the series comes back at some point on, years down the line, which could happen considering how much the people working on it love it, is called The Wrath of the Lamb.
Right.
This breaks a little bit from the naming convention of this arc, and that all of this arc has been named after Robert Blake paintings. The Great Red Dragon paintings with the woman clothed in sun, the woman clothed with the sun, and the beast from the sea, and the number of the beast is 666. Those are the 4 paintings, and then the Great Red Dragon, of course, being the series that they're all a part of. I had speculated that maybe they'd go to the last episode and go right back to a food title to imply, like, oh, it's back on Hannibal now, but the Wrath of the Lamb is different from that. This is a biblical symbol, I guess. Is the way to put it. So yeah, I guess somewhat relates to Robert Blake because of that, but
maybe if Dolarhyde is the dragon, and if Hannibal is Satan, maybe the lamb is Will Graham.
Yeah, I mean that's what it seems to be for me. That's what I'm kind of picturing.
That's what I'm picturing too. That's got what it means. That's interesting.
And they're already kind of hinting at the idea that Will doesn't want to kill him, but that he probably is going to kill him.
Oh yeah. They foreshadowed that, Will doesn't want to kill him.
They've done that twice now. First, they did that when he was talking to Bedelia last week.
Yes.
And she said the next time you feel like nurturing or something, maybe you should smash.
It's funny because somebody brought up Bedelia. They said the foreshadowing that they're doing with her character in that episode. So they said it's a shame we're not going to see any payoff to that. Because I'm guessing like that was some setup for maybe expanding her character, doing something more with her character next season.
Well, some of it, yeah, and then some of it will kind of directly relate to advice for Will, yeah.
Right, yeah, definitely.
It's going to be kind of interesting because I know that the 4th season, if it was going to happen, which it's not now, was not going to be Silence of the Lambs. It was going to be completely off book material. And Fuller implied something about it was going to kind of bring Hannibal and Will's relationship like closer, like focus even more so on the relationship. Who knows what that means?
Yeah, who knows?
With the way the show works, it's you just don't know. But
well, it would have to like
how they're going to end that in that aspect, because
it was like season 4 would have had to have brought some type of closure to Will and Hannibal's relationship, because if they were going to go into a Silence of the Lambs adaptation, Will Graham wouldn't be involved in that.
Unless they just had to change it all because of the...
Yeah, unless they just had to change it all, make it a Will Graham story, which would be kind of strange, but okay.
But yeah, it's making me wonder how they're going to end it when you consider that these episodes were created with the intention that there was going to be, or that there could be, a 4th season.
Right.
And that this was his plan for the 4th season. So, part of me is like, this would be a perfect opportunity, like Wrath of the Lamb. You have Will kind of finally saying, fuck this shit.
Yeah.
And kind of like turning away from all the, psychotic stuff, putting Dolarhyde down, not like out of wrath, but and not feeling anything from it, not being haunted by it, knowing that he did the right thing and stuff. And that kind of being like a closure of the idea of like him being, he's past this now or something.
Right.
But that can't be the case if it was going to be such a focus again on Will and Hannibal in season 4.
Also, I was wondering if they were going to adapt Silence of the Lambs, they couldn't just do it with Will Graham, because isn't part of Silence of the Lambs the fact that Clarice is like not familiar with Hannibal, and so she kind of lets Hannibal get into her head and kind of messes with her, whereas Will Graham is already very familiar with Hannibal. And I don't think that it wouldn't work that way.
Well, they could do it, but they'd have to do it. They'd have to make major changes, and they have to anyways because they don't have the rights. So they'd have to completely change the way they pursued that. So I'm just curious, like how they're going to do it. How the season's going to end off. Considering that, so
yeah, that's what's going to interest me. The ending of the season is what's going to interest me the most, to see how they end it, and to see if it actually is satisfactory, or if it's one of those things where you're like, you're kicking stuff because there's no season 4.
I think I've already gone on my tirade kicking stuff because there's no season 4.
Right. By the way, at the Television Critics Press Association tour, whatever, NBC's chairman commented on Hannibal's cancellation. It says, on heels of his comment regarding Hannibal's quality, I asked Greenblatt how close the decision it was in regards to deciding not to renew the series. Said Greenblatt, all decisions are close. You look at where you are in terms of the storytelling, and you look at the ratings, and then you look at the profits and the loss of the show and all those things, and they're all really tough calls. And we just decided it was time to move on. Make
sure to source the article right now. What was that on?
Oh, I don't know. I'm reading it off a NeoGame.
Oh, okay.
There's like no actual link to the comment.
We could source that.
I know.
Probably Hollywood Reporter or something, I guess.
Hollywood Reporter, or something.
Line. We should. Unfortunately, we don't have a source for that. Don't sue us. Say it if it was there. If it is commented on, we'll post that in our story. But wow,
Alamo Draft House. You were just talking about this like last week with me. Apparently,
about how they do the like Game of Thrones and our stuff like that.
Yep, the Alamo Draft House is going to be airing the Hannibal series finale on the big screen.
God, I should check out and see if the Los Angeles one will be open by then.
Yeah, see,
I'm not
that'd be
sure when the Los
awesome.
Angeles one is opening, but if they're open then man, I might want to go to that.
It says they're actually going to be screening 2 episodes for the event. The penultimate episode, so next week's episode, and then the series finale.
Yeah. That makes sense. I mean, that's what you do.
Yeah, that's what you do. That would be awesome. That'd be an awesome way to end the series.
I'm so looking forward to Alamo Drafthouse coming out here to Los Angeles. You know, I'm not Los Angeles, so it's still ways away from me, but I'm close enough that that's something I could occasionally go check out.
Right.
Because I've been hearing about this stuff for a while. Of course, with Game of Thrones, I mean, that's where you got like the really big Wood Redding reaction, you know?
Oh, yeah.
A huge crowd of people.
I could imagine like seeing that on the theater, on the big screen for the first time. That'd be crazy.
Yeah. I think that pretty much brings the discussion to an end. I mean, we're kind of looking kind of skeptically at what's going to go on with these last 2 episodes. We're
also Will's son.
A little depression.
also, Will's son is definitely on Team Kill Dolarhyde.
Yeah.
So here's that too.
I love the little insight to Will's character that they're like, you know, well, what pet food do you normally feed the dogs? Oh, my husband makes it from scratch.
He makes it from scratch. I think somebody pointed out, like, that was also another thing because they made such a big deal throughout the series of like Will Graham being like the saint of the patron saint of stray dogs or something, you know. like I thought Dolarhyde was just going to kill them all. And again, Brian Fuller didn't go there completely. Yeah. Brian Fuller is showing a lot of restraint where you think he's not going to. And that's creating a lot of tension. And that's actually brilliant because Dolarhyde thinks, because you think Brian Fuller is going to go there. And then he doesn't because Dolarhyde doesn't get that far.
It's all set up. He's going to go there completely in the last episode. Kill everyone.
Just pull
in the most horrific way possible.
Well, yeah. So I thought because of Dolarhyde, Will's dogs are totally boned. I thought that's the payoff for Will being such an animal lover.
Man, that would have some impact right now with everything that's been going on in animal rights stuff right now.
Oh yeah,
all the big game hunting stuff and
all the big game hunting stuff. Oh yeah, for sure. and then I like the very cliche thing where when they're at the vets, Will's wife is like, you know when I told you keeping secrets was bad? Well, we're just going to keep this one, and it's not so bad. I'm like, well, it's actually the worst secret you can keep because it's the one that's going to get you killed by a serial killer. So,
irony. They pan up from in the vet, they pan over to the FBI notice. Report animal, you know.
I thought that whole scene, the whole exchange was just a little too on the nose for this show. And I'm like, oh, come on. You're better than this, Hannibal. But again, Brian Fuller didn't go there, so it was like he was teasing that he was going to go there. That whole scene was teasing that that's where he was going, and then he didn't fully go there, and I was like actually kind of surprised.
Yet.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
I still have a feeling that it's going to go there, just not yet.
Not yet.
We'll have to see. Yeah, the Wrath of the Lamb. It could be. You know, who knows? Maybe Will's family gets it next episode, and then Will goes on a rampage. You know.
Berserker rage. That boy is on a rampage.
Oh my God! A sickening thought.
Oh, I'm looking forward to it. And I know Hannibal has something up his sleeve. I just know it. And
Yeah.
so I'm pretty sure we're going to get.
Not going to suffer indignity for too long. I mean, that's not his.
That's not his style.
Not his character.
No.
Of course, he can just retreat into his mind palace, and so.
he's just biding his time until an opportunity arises. He sees an opportunity.
Having everything stripped away from him really makes me think, yeah, they're setting that up that he's going to be out of there. So,
right.
We'll just have to see what happens. I mean, it was a pretty epic scene in Silence of the Lambs when he escaped. So,
yeah, that was a pretty epic scene. So maybe we'll get that scene at the end of this season instead of in the Silence of the Lambs arc.
Yeah.
Because, Brian Fuller isn't afraid to switch things around.
Clearly. The entire premise of Hannibal was like taking a moment that was like a paragraph in the books and it over 2.5 seasons.
You're right, really. I know.
So yeah, it'll be cool to see how that all plays out. So that brings us to an end of this week's discussion. Check with us next week when we're going to be discussing The Number of the Beast is 666, the penultimate episode of Hannibal, as we know it. This is pretty much the end of the whole series. I mean, it's not coming back next year. It could come back sometime later. I mean, the way TV is now, who the fuck knows?
Right?
Anything could happen, Could be a comic book, We have no idea what's going to happen.
No. I don't think it would work as a comic book.
You don't want Hannibal season 4, the comic book?
No. Those never really worked for me as like satisfying pieces of thing. It's like,
yeah,
it's good that they've got the story out there, I guess, but it's like I want to see it living and breathing like the rest of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like they'd have whole issues with no dialogue, just like characters staring back and forth at each other, like weird surrealistic imagery. And you're like, I don't have any idea what happened in this issue.
What? It's got entire pages that are like the equivalent of that scene where Hannibal was cutting Will's head open.
Yeah, you can issue with just nothing but like shots of like or like pictures of like a flowery field and like a thing, and then like that's it, just nothing. No.
Yeah, that's it.
You just like, what the hell?
What?
So yeah, join us next week when we're discussing the penultimate episode, and leave a comment. You can check out our website, tventhusiast.com. We got a few new features that have been kind of kicking off. So first up, we're going to have a regular series called Spotlight, where we're going to highlight a show that kind of has flown under the radar. The first one's already up. It's for Rectify. If you've ever heard of Rectify or have any interest in it, or just kind of want to see what's a good show that kind of completely flew under the radar, check out our Spotlight article on Rectify. We're also starting up a comic strip series. We have the first one up for that, directly related to Hannibal. The comic book series is called Connect Them All, and it's kind of our attempt to find these different connections between properties, between different TV shows. And it's kind of an ongoing joke we've had in our podcast. Okay. And
right. So that's the premise. That wasn't just like the one-off for that one.
No, that's going to be the premise of the whole thing. It's going to be like making these. We're going from the perspective that every TV show, movie, whatever, all takes place in the same universe.
You realize Mads Mikkelsen was just cast for Star Wars Rogue One.
Yeah.
So now you get to connect Hannibal to Star Wars. I bet you're so happy about that.
I think there's a good chance for that. Yeah, there's a good chance to do something about that. But right now there's one about connecting the Hobbit and Hannibal through Richard Armitage, who appears in the Hobbit as Thorin Oakenshield, and in Hannibal as Francis Dolarhyde.
Just make every comic about Kevin Bacon and everything's connected. He is the source of all creation.
You're giving away my finale. No, but yeah, so you can check those out. We also have our podcast every week, the Weekly Set. And we do this every Monday and put it up it should be up early on Tuesday. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Any last words, Will?
Nope, that's it.
And so that'll be it for us this week. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Bye.